Jai, welcome to again. This is another episode of the Gate of Gates podcast, and I'm your host tonight. I'm Kagzrimen and I'm here with
Ibtehuti.
That was weird.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to say your name like that. My name is Kenibashu.
So, we're here bringing you another episode. And Ibtehuti, please don't do that again.
It's my name.
So, before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the forces in material, particularly Master Nebnaba Lumosamor Denebig, the one who's brought us this great mission and this great work. So we honor and acknowledge him. We also honor and acknowledge all of the ancestors of this great temple, my ancestors, his ancestors,
Yep.
and all of your ancestors as well. And before we get started, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor. Sauce. So, sauce, hot sauce.
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 Sauce and sauce are two different
Sauce and
words.
sauce. Well, I have an accent, so you gotta bear with me.
Don't get sassy.
Yeah.
You gotta bear with me. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, sauce.
Say it in
sauce,
Jamaican
hot
accent.
sauce.
Say it in patois.
Sauce.
See?
Sauce.
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 Okay.
That's not sass.
There
That's
you go.
sauce. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So,
Sassafras.
sauce, hot sauce. Sauce, hot sauce started when a group of traveling students were in West Africa, and they were thinking of ways to kind of fund charitable projects and help displaced families in the Fada and Goma region of Burkina Faso. So one of the students happened to be an artisanal hot sauce chef, and right then and there, sauce, hot sauce was born. So please get yourself some sauce or sauce. Sauce. It's great. It's wonderful. Yeah. Island Crown. That seems to be the
Island
favorite.
Crown.
Seems to be the favorite here. It's my personal favorite because it was inspired by Caribbean flavors. So yeah.
But I like that you memorized that because I feel like it was more personable than reading it off of the phone.
What'd you try and say?
So-
Ibtehuti?
I'm just saying.
Well, the thing is, I've heard it so much.
Yeah, that
It's hard not to.
How many episodes? What episode is this? 20.
It's like 25.
25.
Yeah, I've already-
25.
20.
I was
25
thinking
times.
about that today. It's like 25 episodes.
Yeah,
Wow.
our baby graduated college at this point.
It's a lot
25.
of weeks.
Yeah.
Let's go.
25 more to go
To what?
till 50,
And then what?
and then 75,
Okay.
and then 100.
Are we trying
we
to
counting by
Are we trying to
25 now?
reach some sort of like
I mean,
marker?
since you brought up 25,
Okay.
that's the marker now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
let's do it.
See you there.
So tonight, as you know, we don't normally have particular topics per se, but we kind of just jump right into it, and we kind of make it, very authentic. And
I got
Very-
a topic.
you got a topic?
I do.
Because I had a topic too.
All right. I think our topics.
They could
This my
combine.
guy right here. Watch the topics just fall together.
Okay.
So earlier, this was actually how I started my day. It was crazy. I saw a video, right? Because I was asleep and I was woken up by someone.
That's
And-
every day.
Right. And
He's got kids.
now that I'm up, I'm like, all right, let me see what's going on the internet, which I do sometimes. And
Were you on your Explorer page on IG?
I was not on my Explore page. Yeah, funny guy.
You were though, right?
Yeah, and it's this problem.
You looking at
It's this
booty?
problem now.
A lot of booty on there.
I'm on a cleanse.
So,
It's true. You admit it. You're looking at booty.
I came across this video, right? And in this video, there was a young lady basically talking about how, there was a woman on her podcast,
Mhm.
and on her podcast, she had a guest, and the guest was a man, and he was saying, like, I just don't get it. Like, all of these women that are talking about how they don't want to have children, and, why would you not want to build, like, a legacy? Right? Like, what is it about, like, this time where, like, women don't want to have children, in such great numbers? And the way she responded was basically like, men don't even know what they're talking about when they're saying legacy anymore.
Mm.
You saying that you want to have a child and you don't have a job.
Was this Pearl?
No, it wasn't Pearl.
I was
It
thinking
wasn't Pearl.
talking
Pearl.
about?
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't Pearl because I disagreed with what the young lady had to say. So
So you like Pearl?
I do. I enjoy a lot of her content.
Shout out
Yeah, I
to
like
Pearl.
Pearl too.
I mean, she
Pearl's
be-
pretty cool.
She
yeah.
should be on
She keeps it
episode
real.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see about that.
Yeah.
Let's see
do
about
that.
getting Pearl on the show. So yeah, to make a long story short, she basically was making it like, if you don't have like a business that you started, she didn't say these words exactly, but this is what I got from what she was saying. Like, if you don't have a business that you started, if you don't have something to pass down to your children, like in this colonial capitalistic sense of like you having something to give to them, like materially, then you're not creating a legacy. You're just having children. Like she said, your child could end up being like a school shooter or a crackhead. So what is it about this idea of legacy that people are really thinking of when they think about legacy? So I wanted to kind of get you guys' takes on that. Like, what do you think about like this? Because there's a lot of people, men and women, in today's world who are like, I don't have anything to give my child, and this world is like crazy. Why would I bring an innocent child into a world like this and not have something to like give to them?
You go first.
I mean, it just goes back to the concept of YOLO. Like, people are just looking for a good time, you know? Like Drake said, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I just quoted Drake twice. It's weird. But it's really true.
You
It's-
obviously listen to his music a lot.
Yeah, you know. I just flipped the switch. But the point is... yeah, the point is like... we've gotten so far away from traditions. We've gotten so far away from the idea of family, even.
Huh.
Like we only see like families or like marriages last a long time when it's like in the context of religion nowadays. Oh, my grandparents have been together for a long time, for 45 years, because, you know, and they're Christian or Muslim. Like in those, especially in the West, like that's where we see it actually work. But then because people are getting so far from religion, and we know that religion comes from, you know, Kemet originally. It's just a bad copy of it. But
You're gonna have to expound on that later.
I will, yeah. But I mean, the further and further we get from that, you know, that's just what happens. Like, you know, people want to be on the dating apps. You know, people just want to have fun at this point. So
Christian mingle.
yeah, even that.
You know, just to chime in a little bit about what Ibtehuti is saying, when you brought this topic up, I was really thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, in some weird way, I agree with this lady. She's right. She's absolutely right. Because what is legacy? Like, I think in today's society, people say things a lot, but they don't really understand or know what they say.
Right.
People have a kind of like mentality that's like, you know, I'm living my life, and because I'm living my life, everything in my life should kind of be easy. Everything should like come as like this smooth kind of sailing. But in reality, when you think about legacy is not something that's like smooth sailing. And for a lot of men nowadays on these podcasts, like we call them red pill or whatever, if you listen to them talk, in my personal opinion, it almost sounds like they want a woman to be very smooth sailing. Like everything to be very easy, everything to come very easy
Like
for
no
them.
baggage.
Yeah, like not necessarily no baggage, but just everything easily accessible. And when we talk about legacy, like we have to talk about it from a traditional perspective, because like you said, that's what's missing. People have a missing context or a missing idea of like legacy. So the only thing I disagree with the young lady is maybe in a sense that, hey, it has to be a business per se. I mean, let's be for real. We live in a modern society. We live in modern times. We live in a modern world. And those things are necessary. Those things are necessary for our survival. So I can understand that. But is that really true legacy? Because when we talk about legacy from a traditional perspective, it's about the blood, right? It's about what has been passed down from lineage to lineage, from father to son, from daughter to or mother to daughter, right? We don't really see that nowadays because there's no understanding of even the self, which is like the real problem in society. People don't have an understanding of themselves because people don't have an understanding of family. Because you are your family, you come from your family.
Right.
So the idea of legacy is missing because we don't even understand ourselves. We don't understand our family to then say we have a legacy to pass down. And the whole business stuff, and you know, again, it even goes back to like, again, not knowing yourself. Because what's the sense of, if I'm coming from a bloodline of farmers, why am I trying to be a salesman? Right? If I'm coming from a bloodline of priests, why am I trying to be a fisherman?
A singer.
Yeah, or a singer. You know, it's just, people just have lost the ways of understanding themselves. So of course we don't have an understanding of legacy. How can you if you don't even understand the legacy you came from?
Right.
Can you backtrack? Can you explain the part about the business, like what she said about that?
She said, well, one exact quote was that, why would you want to bring a child into the world and you don't have two red pennies to rub together? But that's a lot of the argument. Like 9 times out of 10, young people are thinking to themselves, I have friends who I see all the time. Like, I have my own kids now, and there's friends who I was hanging out with just a few years ago when I didn't have any kids, and I see them now and they're like, man, bro, like, you really, like, this is a big change, this is crazy. And like, they'll big me up for it and then be like, I can't do that though, because I gotta be able to give them something. But then praise me for what I'm giving to my children, and I don't have the same things as them. So it's like the contradiction is obvious in what you're saying. You're saying that you don't have anything to give to them, but you're also not focusing on what to give to them. That doesn't have to be like the money that you leave behind, or the money that can sort of give them the tangible materialistic things that you feel like they should have as children.
Right. I mean, first of all, you can't pay for discipline.
Well,
I mean,
not in this society. Yes, you can.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
sure,
you can.
but I'm just saying, like, in terms of like discipline. Yeah, no, what I mean is more like discipline is like invaluable.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and then also, we've kind of lost a sense of like what our specialties are, because back in the day it was like, if you were if your father was a cobbler, then you're going to be a cobbler, and you just follow in his footsteps. And
but
it's
that,
not
nowadays, another issue with that is that might be looked down on.
Yeah,
like
now
some
it's
people don't want to do what their parents do anymore.
That's a
Dad,
fact.
like, I don't want to do. I want to be a musician.
Word.
I want to, you know.
You sound like you're talking from experience.
I mean, I'm talking. You know, but like, that's what it really is nowadays. Like, in the tradition, like, we learn that like you build on your father's home. Like, no matter where you came from, no matter your upbringing or whatever happened when you were younger, like, you respect your father, you respect your mother, you build on their house. Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, whether you want to fight it or not, you are your father.
That's where you came from.
Man, so would you say that, because it's modern times, right? That's the thing. So obviously certain traditional context is not there for a lot of people. So for this lady, she's intelligent in the sense that she can see far enough to see that men nowadays don't have that idea of legacy. But at the same time, she also doesn't have that idea of legacy.
Right.
And so it's like, can we really blame women for their mentalities nowadays? Can we? It's like they're also victims of a system or a civilization that doesn't honor who you are, honor like your family.
You're being nice today.
So
I didn't expect this from you.
What do you mean I'm being nice?
You different today.
Baby's rubbing off on him.
It might be.
Yeah.
I don't know though. It's possible, but it's possible.
You sounded kind of sweet.
I didn't say all that.
It's the night's early.
Hey, he had to go there.
The night's early.
I didn't say that.
Skittles.
Listen, bro. Listen, there's an off camera. You know that, right?
I've been watching a lot of roast battles lately on Kill Tony. I don't know if you know Kill Tony.
Neither one of us.
No, it's just like a
No.
comedy show.
What the hell is that?
You
I
get
don't know.
60 seconds on the show to do your bit, and then you can like roast people. It's just it's a good show. It's in Austin, Texas. Joe Rogan goes on that sometimes. Some good comedians.
Mr. Dad jokes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
going back to the topic.
But yeah, like, you know, all in all, it really was interesting, you know, for me to wake up to that. And it was really like kind of on my heart for a while. Because
Wow.
I didn't grow up with like a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in Newark, you know, Weekway section. It's not really like the best neighborhood. I didn't really have a lot. You know, my parents didn't have a lot. But all in all, it was like I had family. I had, you know, my uncles and my aunts that would come through the house, you know, ever so often. You know, and I'm adopted. So this is not even like biological family
You're
yet.
adopted?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this
You
is
didn't
like,
know that.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Do you know like your real
I do know my biological
biological
parents.
parents?
But, you know, being adopted and still kind of having that sort of structure to a degree where it's like you have the grandparents inside the house. The mother is inside the house. The father is out working, but he's coming home to be inside the house to interact with the family. And then there's this sort of like a synergy that's built there where you see all of the examples of how like life works from a grandparent's perspective, from a father's perspective, from an uncle's perspective, from it was even like a grand uncle like in the house, and you know, cousins and all that kind of stuff coming over. So, you know, I'm grateful for those kinds of experiences because that's what got me here and had me understand like that's like the value of like family and legacy. It's what you teach one person. What is one person going to get out of all of this to be able to go beyond this family and go make their own family that helps to benefit the community in a way that's, you know, progressive to a certain degree. So the way I see it, it's like, yeah, money can help to a certain degree, but it's obvious to see, you know, with like rich kids who end up drug addicts or like she was saying, the school shooter, that could 9 times out of 10, those are rich people's children. So you
Super
making the
rich
money
kids.
doesn't have anything to do with you leaving behind a legacy that actually has something positive to give to, you know, the community at large.
I mean, that's the other part about it too. It's like just children themselves are a legacy.
Right.
But it's all about how you educate those children. Like, what are you teaching them? Like, what values are you instilling? What principles are you instilling? Like, how did you educate them? It just boils down to that. And even, like you said, if it was a rich family, most of the time, the parents don't even have the time to spend with those children to educate them. The TV is educating them. So then you see the TV educate them, the schools educate them, other kids are educating them. So it's like this, that kind of like tight-knit family like bondage is not there. So it's like we can't really just look at money and say like that's the legacy, like that's the thing to leave, because it's not the thing that's going to hold on in throughout time and space, because money can run out. I mean, I know there's like super rich people who like seem like their money will never end, but it can run out.
It takes one person.
Yeah.
One person in that lineage to just mess it all
Mess
up.
it all away.
Yeah,
Word.
people are putting their kids in like childcare at like 2, 3.
And it's
Even-
like it's
even
not their
earlier.
responsibility.
Even earlier, like I
Word.
have some family, they just had a kid. Like the kid is like 4 or 5 months. He's already going to like this childcare. It's like in the synagogue, you know, so they feel good about it. They know some of the families there and stuff like that. But
So they're
leaving
not
the kid there, yeah,
a
because
4-month-old and 5-month-old. Really?
yeah, because they work. And
So they don't
that's-
breastfeed.
I don't know the whole situation, son, but I'm just saying, like,
Like,
it's,
damn, bro.
yeah, it's. But the thing is it's so acceptable that people don't even think twice. Like, I have to go back to work. Like, we have this, you know, $2,500 mortgage or $5,000 mortgage, however, on the house, and we need to go back to work, and this is our
I'm
life.
leaving out a key detail. One more thing that she said. I'm picking this lady apart. She said, "My legacy is me." That's exactly what she said.
I mean,
she said, my legacy is me.
Come on, man.
And I was like, all right. And that's the big part that becomes like a big problem, because eventually, like over time, you're just going to continue to, if you see that example, like in the society that we live in, then you know it goes from my legacy is me to, well, maybe I don't need to have children because I've done a good enough job by myself.
Can we go
You
back?
think that's what she feels, though?
I think it's.
I think people feel the opposite. Maybe deep down inside, people have this, because there's no way as a human being, especially a woman, you can't convince me that you don't have some kind of yearning to have children.
But if you open the
natural.
door for that kind of thinking, then they get like once the door for something like that is open, like a human being is crazy, bro. Like they can convince themselves of whatever they want. Yeah, she probably might feel like, yeah, I do want to have children. But based on like opening that door of being like, my legacy is me, that like line of thinking, it could take you some crazy places.
It might come out as something else. It might come out as like depression. It might come out as some sort of sickness, breast cancer, something. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what is this thing that I'm missing? What is this thing that I don't have?
You're talking soon now.
I don't know what it is. But I wanted to go back to what you were saying, Kenibashu, about your parents. Have you connected with them?
I have.
Because I didn't know any of this. But
yeah, I made it a priority once I, really learned the significance of it. And even before that, I had some family, some of my biological family just reach out to me on like Facebook and stuff like that. And then, they was trying to like figure out how to put the pieces together. So,
I think your answer right now can help somebody in the comments, because we have DeMarcus saying he doesn't know his father well.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't really per se either, but
are they here?
The thing is, you really have to put an importance on the, like, what is responsible for you being here, like first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the opportunity to enjoy like what we know as life without somebody before you thinking to themselves like, I can do this, like I can handle this, I can make do with what I have, to at least give them some sort of like a start, a foundation. If that foundation is literally just life itself, you gotta at least be, grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it could have been different. It could have been like, nah, I can't do this.
I mean, we can't
get rid of that.
We can't be like little Timmy, who's like, F you, mom, and smack mom in the face.
Please don't pull a little Timmy. But yeah, DeMarcus, I mean, if it's something that you've really been thinking about for a long time, and it's something that you can get access to, then look for it. These things aren't impossible. At one point I really thought that it might be impossible. And it's like, I don't know how I'm going to figure out this dynamic part of my life, but it's not impossible, man. You just got to actually put some effort into it, because it's a what's the word I'm using for? It's just a super important part of like what you are, like as a person. Like oranges don't give, like you were saying, if you plant an orange seed in some dirt, you're gonna get an orange. So that's an integral part of my identity. You know what I'm saying? So whoever my father is, and his father is, and his father is, and his father is, that's my legacy to start. Like that's where I start from. And then that's what I'm able to give my kids moving forward. So, there's even a spiritual and energetic element to all of that makes a huge difference, in a person's life when you actually put that energy forth to honor like that lineage, to honor that, those energies and those intelligences that actually put you together and made sure that, you had this opportunity for life. So, just don't take it for granted, man. Don't take it for granted that you actually have like this opportunity to do this.
It's interesting though, because we learned in the initiation that like adoption is like a spiritual crime.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
I don't remember getting that.
Well, it wasn't. I guess it wasn't in the actual per aunt class, but we were told that we were in.
It's really is more it's worse if the child doesn't necessarily know their family. They don't know their biological family. It to the point where even if the person who adopted the child, you are putting the child at risk because you're energetically it's not favorable for that child. So I think even the ancestors had even told somebody who did adopt some children that they had to go and give the children back to wherever they got them from.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a lot of energetic instabilities with adoption.
Right.
But it's interesting, right? Because the system, it just kind of shows you how kind of the system really is, like how it functions. Because adoption is, promoted here. Homosexuality is promoted here.
If you're gonna be homosexual,
not having children is promoted here.
If you want to have children,
and you see how that works. So it's like it's like a 2 for 1.
Right.
It's like you're already homosexual,
You know what the argument
and then
is?
you adopt.
You know what the argument is? The argument is that homosexual families tend to have more stability, and that actually because they have more money per capita.
Wow.
And that because of that, they actually create more. This is an argument that they create more stability for the child because fiscally, basically.
Probably materially, but
I'm not gonna lie. Every gay person I know is getting money.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's true. It's true.
But how? That's been my question.
It's the agenda.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
what do you mean?
This?
You don't
Is
see
there like a secret like club where they just get extra
you know what's
pay?
crazy? You know what's crazy though? There's literally a thing where they be like on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, whatever social media platforms they have. They maybe have groups. I don't know. They will just send out a PSA and be like, queer person in need, and I swear to God, they will get money. I was at, it's crazy. I was at
help
an
me
event,
pay
bro.
for my sex change.
No bullshit,
Can
bro.
we start something like this?
I was at an
a chem
event.
in need. Can we start that?
You're not gonna make any money.
I was at an event.
Sorry to break it to you.
Can we get a GoFundMe going?
Ain't no heteros making money like that.
I was at an event, bro, and I heard secondhand that this queer person was like, I don't have no money. And they put out a PSA on Instagram, 2.5, like, queer person in need. Yeah. And they got some money, and bought some drinks for everybody. And then they just went about their
Hear me out, guys. Because I had this idea for a while. And I think it's time we start implementing this idea. So I'm going to buy a wig. I can buy 2 more if you guys are down.
You're putting this on live right now. You're just calling yourself out, bro.
It doesn't matter.
You're giving out the gas.
It doesn't matter. But look, I'm going to get the wig, right?
Okay.
I'm going to change my name, right?
To?
Teresa. Right? And I'm going to apply for queer grants.
I'm going to send this to your mom, bro.
Bro, it don't matter. She going to get some bread. Because there's no way that this exists. We just got to pretend. We just got to pretend, bro. Like, it's already pretending out here.
That's the terrible part. It really is just like play pretend, and like, people gonna back you up.
Just let me know if y'all down. Anybody in the comment section, if y'all down, we gonna do it.
I'm good on air.
Wait, somebody had this question. I kind of want to get to it. Are we speaking history's version of a legacy, or a legacy that transcends the illusions put in place attached to linearity?
What is it? But he emphasized his story, like his.
Because they're saying, like, people have this notion that the word history means like his story, like the person, like, for example,
who is he?
The Europeans are the ones who conquered the world, right?
Right.
So the history books are written in a perspective that's based on theirs. So it's almost like his story. So it's not really telling the people who are colonized a story.
Got it.
That makes sense?
Makes sense.
And then the feminists be like, Her story.
Her story.
Her story.
So
3 dads.
What's the question
1
again?
podcast.
I think he's asking, are we speaking of his story's version of legacy? So if I'm understanding the question, he's asking if we're speaking on legacies as defined by the colonial society or versus a traditional one.
I'm not certain. Maybe Lucid. Maybe you can
Rephrase the
rephrase
question.
that.
If I understand the question, then I'm going to just say that we're speaking on legacy from the traditional perspective. Like Kenibashu was saying, it's who you are is based upon where you're coming from. So if you have a father and you have a mother, then those two poles, those are the energies, or those are the people that brought you into existence. The way a spirit comes into life is through the father and through the mother. So you can't come into life as a spirit, you can't grow as a person without having a father and a mother. So that legacy is based upon where you're coming from, the blood that flows through your veins. So it's not really his story's version. It's more like the reality at hand.
So
Yeah, that's the thing is like
duality.
all of these ideologies that we have, all of these isms that we have nowadays,
ism,
feminism, sexism, all the isms, like all
That's
the,
an interesting question.
Yeah,
So
like-
beyond duality. We'll get to finish your point.
yeah, it's like all these isms that we have nowadays, like we feed into those and we think that we're working for this greater good. Even like religion, for example, you could do no evil because all the evil is outside of you, and if you commit any acts, you can just repent for your sins. But at the end of the day, all of those isms, all of those ideologies take you away from yourself. They take you away from the notion of who you are, because I do Uber, and I had this dude in the back of my car, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm training to be a firefighter," and I was like, "Okay." And he seemed kind of young, and he was like, "Yeah, I was like, would you still be doing that if you had a family? Because you could go into a fire and not come out."
I was I didn't mean to laugh, but it's just the way you said that. Go ahead.
And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, and I was like, "Oh, so you want to be a hero?" And he's like, "Yeah, I always wanted to be a hero." And to him, like,
wow.
that's kind of where it ends. That's where the story begins and ends. I want to be a hero. We have this like picture painted of like what is a hero nowadays, and everything about the hero stops at the self.
Mm-hmm.
It stops at you, because that means that you would take yourself out of this life just to be this hero that we've painted in this reality, like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, but at the end of the day, like, even if you guys seen Batman,
they're not innocent.
no, and they're protecting something that's corrupt. It's funny because we put a lot of emphasis on the Joker, but the Joker is really just
He's
showing
trying to break down
the
the
corruption
corrupt
at
system.
the end of the day in the system. He's the head who's set.
Wow.
Can't take him
It's
out.
funny you mention this because I literally saw this in a meme yesterday, I think. They was like, have you noticed that Batman never ever attacks the corporations? He's like literally beating up on small thugs and smaller organized
That's a
crime,
fact.
but the actual crime syndicates, he never attacks.
Yeah.
And if you notice, he's a billionaire.
He's got that bread.
He's actually got it.
That's a fact.
He doesn't
You know?
want to lose it.
He doesn't
That's a
wanna
fact.
lose
That's why in the one movie with Heath Ledger, Joker takes the pile of money and just burns all the money. It just burns it all, because it's just, at the end of the day, like, what is it? What are you trying to protect? Like Harvey Dent,
Word.
right? Two-Face.
Word.
You know what I mean? Like, they protected him at the end of the day. So then the question at the end of the movie is like, what's worse? Is the lie worse, or is the truth worse? Is the lie worth protecting, or is the truth,
Well, I think the problem nowadays is the lie has become a normality. Like people are more comfortable living in the lie and accepting the lies than they are actually accepting the truth. And that's why you can see all these different ideologies that you're talking about.
Right.
Because all ideologies are just a system of belief. When you believe something, you don't truly know or understand something. And then you just have this kind of like strong emotion towards the thing you believe in. And it's really dangerous because I'm glad you said what you said, because it even ties into this question from Lucid, beyond duality. So here's the thing, Sen. You as a human being, like the question is this. I'm going to answer your question with a question. Can a human being go beyond the realm of duality? Because even when we're talking about Batman, Joker, duality, right? Even Two-Face, duality.
Right.
Like
Literally.
Good and evil.
good and evil.
Yeah.
That's why if even for religion, like God cannot kill the devil because he needs him. The devil cannot kill God because he needs him. Like existence itself functions off of duality. Like everything you can see and perceive in existence, you will find there's a dual nature to it because existence functions on that duality. You can't go around natural principles. And this is where you get the difference between believing in something and then fitting in and understanding something. It's completely different. So I suggest you think about that and think, can you really get around the concept of duality? Because there's no way to it.
Yep. Yeah.
He's trying to get to trilogy. What is the third?
So, the Marcus? I think we answered the Marcus question, right? But yeah, this topic is big though, because it kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about.
What was it? I was about to ask you.
Wait, Lucid has an answer. You say yes, like OG divinity over fragmentation and distortions, which keep the focus upon everything that originates from the self. Self? Yeah. Like we can't be so focused on the roots that we miss the primordial source.
Is he starting all of these words with D?
Yeah,
apostrophe?
he said self, like CELLF apostrophe.
Oh.
Well, you have a good point. You can't, talk about, all of this without going back to
Excusez-moi.
primordial
Wow.
sources. But if you want to talk about primordial sources, then you have to understand even that whole concept of duality. The existence itself starts and functions on that same concept. So it's almost like you can't have an event or an occurrence without something preceding it. So like you can't have life existing without two forces opposing each other to create that life. So whatever we're talking about in terms of like you coming from your mother and your father, that's just a very micro in terms of what's available in the macro. So in terms of what you're talking about with primordial sources, I would say you should probably think more on that, because I don't really know how to answer your question based on how you're phrasing it, honestly.
I think,
Perceiving it without bounds in the mind. or
Lucid, can you
condition.
try explaining what you're trying to say? Like
No,
you're talking to a child.
I think what
Acceptance
Lucid, I think
is
it's
beyond attachment.
Hold on, guys. I think it makes perfect sense though, because first of all, my boy's name is Lucid. Okay, that's the first thing.
Trying to get Lucid.
That's the first thing. Okay, his name is Lucid. No disrespect, Lucid, because I understand. But first thing is his name is Lucid. Second thing, he said beyond duality. Okay, so he's far. He's like far out there.
He's way
in the
lucid.
stars.
But the reality is now he's even saying yet perceiving it without bounds in the mind or condition, right? So this is the thing about being a human being, right? Is that you have your bounds, right? You can go to sleep at night and you can have dreams where you transcend, the physical body, and you maybe go to different dimensions and things like that, and you come back with maybe some sort of a message or some sort of an idea that came out of that dream, which is from a message from your ancestors or something like that. It could be many different things. But you trying to sort of take your idea of what it means to perceive something and remove it from the human standpoint of having bounds, of having limitations, that can become like the first obstacle for you as someone who's like a seeker, because then you'll sort of lose yourself in the multiple, like there's so many ways to take your thoughts when you don't see them as having boundaries, right? And there's so many things that you can get like lost in if it has no boundaries, if it has no sort of like walls or place to put it within, like a context for it to be placed in, a culture for it to be placed in, taboos, principles, values for it to be like confined within. Now, when you step beyond that and it kind of becomes like a salad bar, like I'll take this from here and I'll take that from there because this makes sense to me, that makes sense to the way I feel about this, then it becomes very lucid in the approach, because it can be anywhere and it can be anything. You know, so lucid, my boy, sign up for the online initiation, you know, or wait till the next round in New Jersey if you're in the area and get initiated, bro.
Earthcenter.org.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, Kenibashu, you make a good point. As human beings, like especially in the society we live in, we tend to like fantasize, and within that fantasy we tend to take things really far and to places that are maybe even like obscure, or even if we're talking about being lucid, like taking hallucinogens or mushrooms or acid and going to certain dimensions that maybe we're not prepared for because we don't understand the traditional context in which that drug came from, or we're not with someone with the experience to take us where we're supposed to be going. And really it's very simple. Like life is really simple. Nature is really simple, and we take it kind of far. Like you're talking about your birth parents and not relating to them. I mean, that's impossible, because at the end of the day, it's like you are their relation.
Yeah, you
so
can't.
Whether or not you like them or give a shit about them, like they're always going to be a part of you. And like I said, the more you keep fighting that experience or those people in your life, the more you're really just fighting yourself.
Right. And you can't like be here without them having been here first.
And you can't ever repay your family, your parents, for the sacrifices that they took upon themselves to have you. And I'm only noticing that recently. Like I had a baby like 13 months ago. Shout out to Tanisa. And
you didn't have to say his name.
I did. But
he had the baby.
I had the baby, you know. It's my baby. I've only really recently started to understand my parents just like a little bit more, just because I had a child, and understanding the sacrifice of that. Even we learn in the initiation that when you have a child, a piece of you dies. And I'm not going to, get too far into it, but I understand that concept. I understand what that feels like.
But what does that mean, Ibtehuti?
Yeah, you throwing out a lot of bullets, but you got to really give some serious content for those bullets.
Yeah, I think they got to come for the initiation to find out.
I mean, you could give them a little some. I mean, I think I can understand what you're saying, but what does that how do you quantify that for yourself? How would you quantify that for yourself?
Just even in terms of the sacrifice, like where at one point you're living for yourself, and it's all about you. You're just a single gentleman, just like thrown into the obscure world.
Charlatan.
Yeah. And then, you have a child and you have that responsibility, and you realize like your life is not really your own, and your life was never really your own, and it was really just society making you feel like you had some sort of ownership of this body, because my body, my choice. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't really even own this body, because this body is just housing the spirit, and the spirit is endless.
So you just said something there, right? Did not tell you not to reach over there. Don't do that.
I was
again.
hoping you were going to do that.
Please don't do it again.
Okay.
But you said something very important.
My body, my choice.
Please.
This
continue.
guy. This guy. Anyway, you said something very important.
Okay.
You said the spirit doesn't end. So that's a very big concept. So even with what we're talking about in terms of like legacy, like leaving a legacy for like your children, like we have an understanding spiritually in traditional culture that the spirit doesn't end. So if the spirit doesn't end, that means the spirit has an eternal existence. That means the spirit continues and continues and continues. And then that means every time a new child is born, like Ibtehuti's new child, my child, his child, anyone else's
We
child.
all just had children recently. That's weird. No, I just thought about that.
Right. But anytime those children are born, right, that means there's a spirit who's housing that body. So that spirit housing that body is coming with an experience. It's coming with a history. So there's a history to that child. There's a history to that spirit. And now because of that history, me as the parent, him as the parent, him as the parent, we have a duty, we have a responsibility to that spirit, and guiding that spirit and making sure that spirit knows who it is and knows where it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to walk in life and knows what it's supposed to do in life. So we have a responsibility in raising that spirit towards achieving its goal and achieving its destiny, because every spirit, every reincarnation is a being coming with a goal, and that goal has to be fulfilled. So it's almost like if somebody doesn't understand where they're coming from, if somebody doesn't know the legacy that they're coming from, if somebody doesn't know the bloodline they're from, if somebody doesn't know what's in their blood, like what their specialties are, then it's almost like canceling the destiny of the spirit. It's like getting in the way of that spirit's goal, getting in the way of the direction the spirit needs to go. So that's why legacy is very important. And that's why having a family, like having ties to your family, knowing your bloodline, having those connections, knowing the things that you need to instill in the children, knowing the things that you need to teach the children, guide the children with, is a very, very, very important. It's very spiritual. That's why even family is the basis of spirituality. A lot of people think they're spiritual. A lot of people want to talk about spirituality.
Right now.
A lot of people want to talk about the gods, the cosmic harmony, all this shit, but you can't even understand your own spirit. You can't even understand your own family, because the spirituality is the basis. The basis of spirituality is family, bro. So if you don't understand that, then you're not going anywhere spiritually. Because if you came here through the woman, you came here through your father. Your father had to blow that breath of life into her. He had to soil the seed.
Woo.
If you can't understand
It's
that,
spicy in here,
if you
y'all.
can't understand that that's the gate that you came through, if you can't understand that that is the realm in which you came from, then that means you don't understand that you have to go through that same gate to get through to those cosmic forces that everybody wants to talk about.
Gate of gates.
There's a gate. It's the gate of gates. There's a realm you have to go through. There's doors. There's steps. So you can't be talking about this out there, this out there, this out there. You don't even know what's in here.
Bars.
You don't even know what's behind you.
Big bars.
You have to take steps. Things don't just open up like that. You have to be realistic. Things are practical. Spirituality is about practicality. It's not about what you believe. It's not about what you feel. It's not about what you think. It's about what you can understand and what you can live and what you can do practically.
Thank you. I was about to go through the threshold for that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
mean,
real.
it's you know, he just dropped a big
Gem.
boo boo on all of the fools out there who are you know, because there's just so much politically spiritual hoopla out there right now.
It's the new agey stuff
about people just kind of feeling whatever they feel and thinking that, you know, they can just sum up spirituality to how they feel about something.
New Age is so dangerous.
It's crazy.
Can we talk about that for a second?
It's crazy. That was a part of the reason why the whole legacy thing had me fired up this morning. Because it's like I don't know if she understands it, but that even falls under like new age thinking.
It does.
Right? And then like I don't know what her religion is, but whatever it is, somehow that like fits into it for her. And she's like, all right, well, this is my idea of it, and this is how I can express it, and this is how I can show the world what like it means to be a spirit here on earth and to do what's right for the next generation. And I'm like, man, it's dangerous when you open up that door and you start walking down that path of like, I know what's best for me. I know what's best for the next generation, when her basis wasn't about like what's happened before you. What's the actual legacy that's behind you? If your legacy is just you, then what is you? Right. Like, where did you come from? Where are you going? What is it going to amount to for the next person that comes behind you, even if it's not your own children? Like, what is it going to amount to for the next person that comes behind you and sees like, okay, this is what they left behind. What can I do to add to that? Because that's what it really is, right? That's basically what legacy is. Like, what has my father left behind for me? Like, even if your father is a liar and a stealer and a cheater and a gambler and a drunk, then you're just the son of a liar, a cheater, a gambler, a thief, and a drunk. But now you have the opportunity to bring honor to his name as a continuation of his spirit. So it's like, how are you going to pick it up from where it was left off?
That's what we mean by building a house, because somebody asked about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's really that simple. It's like, even the house that I was born in, right? Like, I'll go back sometimes and I'll be like, you know, just checking on things, and, you know, it'll be the smallest thing. Like, the little brother that I grew up with, he still lives there, and it'll be like crazy. There'll be like trash behind the trash can, like that mist. Like you was trying to play basketball with the trash, and there's trash behind the trash can, and like I'll just take out the trash, and then I'll notice it'll be like pizza from like
who
years
knows
ago, like just behind the trash, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, how is nobody really having this kind of sight to see like this place raised all of us? This place did something like elemental for all of us, and you got to pay that forward. But it's those kind of small like understandings of how to pay it forward to what gave you a start, to what gave you a foundation, that really creates a legacy, and that creates something that goes beyond like what you have materially. That's really the biggest thing for me, man. It's like, if you don't understand the tenets and the morals and the values and the principles that went into building what you came from, then you can't take it to the next level. You won't have a chance at really moving it forward, because you don't even have like that basic understanding of what it came from. Like, it's like a grandmother's recipe. I can't say that I know how to make cornbread the same way that my grandma did. It's just not the same. But it's because I didn't take that time. I know I loved the cornbread. It's like, please give me more at every serving. But I didn't take that time to be like, how did you do this? And how do I do it? How am I able to do that to give it to the next person?
Listen, you'll never actually still, even if you did that, you'll never be able to do it the same way.
I know that, but that's the point.
Till this day, I've watched my mom make this curry chicken. I've been in the kitchen with her. She's shown me, and I still can't get it to be the same way. It just never works.
Exactly.
Never.
But you know, the thing is like, because DeMarcus is asking, so the best thing we can do is build a good relationship with our parents, and then what? And the thing is like, yes, that's important. Build a relationship, build it however you can in your own way. It's subjective to everyone. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be there to change grandma's recipe. Grandma's recipe is going to remain. The only thing that you can change, and that's difficult to change, is yourself. You're not going to be out there like, you know, you get a little bit of knowledge from initiation, and then you go and you're like, Mom, you're doing this wrong, or Dad, like, you should be like that. Even like to your children, it's like your children aren't even going to listen to you. Like the only thing that they're going to listen to is your actions. It's simple. Actions speak louder than words. That's all it is at the end of the day. But I did want to go back to New Age, because I feel like we kind of went over that a little bit. Because really, like, New Age is just like pre-packaged religion. It's like a, you know what I mean?
Repackaged, you mean?
Prepackaged. Repackaged.
Okay, repackaged.
Religion. Yeah, you were getting really stuck on the prepackaged. Repackaged religion. Like, New Age is repackaged religion at the end of the day.
Yeah, like I just was saying. I mean, if you believe something, you can't know it. It's like,
Belief is a doubt.
I believe in God, but do you know like what that is?
Right.
Like, can you actually quantify what that is?
Or I believe in spirit. But like, what is spirit?
Even that, right? That whole concept, like I believe in spirit, or believe spirit guided me, spirit did
spirit
this.
guide.
Like, again, people say things and we don't really fully understand the context in which we're saying. Because I have my ancestors. I come from people. He has his ancestors. You have your ancestors. Everybody who's listening right now, you have ancestors. Whenever we say, oh, spirit guided me here, or I found this because of my spirit, or my spirit did this, my spirit did that, understand that that spirit has a history, and that history has a place in which it comes, where it comes from. We say in traditions, like, every human born is like a new fish. So that means if you're a fish, a spirit is like a fish. That means that fish comes from a river. If it comes from a river, that means there's a body of water in which that spirit comes from. So understand that spirits that are guiding you from those bodies of water are the spirits that are in your blood, the spirits that are in your bloodline. We're talking about ancestors. So whatever you feel is guiding you, if something or someone is guiding you, then understand it. It's your ancestors. Only the blood in which you come from, your ancestors have a vested investment in you. So only those things will guide you to the things that you need to do, or the things that you need to have experiences with.
And that's why New Age spirituality, or the New Age, it's like,
not practical.
Yeah, and it's also dangerous, because what New Age is really saying is that everything that came before it doesn't matter, because this is the New Age.
But then it uses all of the things that came before
right,
it in a big
and
soup.
Right. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like a salad bar approach to things. I'll take a little bit of the Buddhism. I'll take a little bit of the paganism. I'll take a little bit of this and that and put it all together in this gumbo and chew on it. But we created it at the end of the day. It's totally new and it's ours, and we have it. But the thing is it's dangerous, because it's like this concept of knowing. Knowing is so dangerous. Thinking that you understand, because the thing is about nature is always becoming, becoming. But to think that we know, it's so dangerous. Like, even, you know, I used to do a lot of tarot, and
You used to do readings, bro.
anyways, I used to do a lot of tarot, and you know, you would get a card, you get a reading, and then you'd be like, oh my God, like this makes so much sense, like in terms of like what I'm going through right now. But at the end of the day, all of that was really based on feeling. Yes, it's a form of divination, and you know, it is what it is, but the idea is that like all of this New Age stuff is based on like how you feel, and aligning these things, and the smells and the incense and the crystals and all of that.
97.94% of all of that shit is guessing.
Yeah.
It's guessing.
Right. And it's so dangerous, because you can put yourselves in situations where you think you know, where you think you know better, and nature will show you that you don't. And oftentimes that's why people even leave the New Age, because they realize like it didn't have the answers to begin with.
Or if they stay, they do this, right? Be like, well, I'm going through all of these tribulations and trials in my life because Spirit is testing me.
It sounds like religion when, you know, when they say, oh, I prayed, and then God didn't give me what I wanted.
He's just
well,
testing
child, you didn't pray hard enough.
God is just testing your faith.
God is just testing your faith.
I need to buy another crystal.
You know,
This one
you know
is
what's
really
funny?
this crystal is really like speaking to me.
I got a tarot reading before, you know. It's funny. I did. We actually did an event in Brooklyn, and there was a lady who was doing tarot readings across from us. So she was coming up to our booth, like asking me questions about the calendar, and I'm explaining things to her. And her eyes like went from this to this. She's like, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, yeah. So then she calls me and Ezekiel over, and she's like, well, I'll give you guys free tarot readings. I was like, why? She's like, I just want to give you guys free readings. So I know she was trying to use us to like make it look like her table was like full because nobody was going over there. So basically you went over there, and then she gave me a tarot reading, and then she's saying all this stuff, and she's like, is it accurate? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bitch, no. I'm like,
did you really say that to her? Oh, no. Okay,
in my mind.
I said, I was
like, yeah, that's true. That this situation is like this. Yeah, and I'm going along with it. And then she was like, oh, well, great. It's great. And she was like, well, I want to know a little bit more about what you do. Is there, do you do things like this? I'm like, oh, you mean like divination? She was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we have a divination system. She's like, I would love to hear about it. So I started telling her about it and like breaking it down, and then I started telling her like what the things you can learn and what you can gain and what you can do. This lady looked at me and she straight up said, well, I can't do any of that. But thank you.
Yes, you can, lady. Yes, you can.
I can't do any of that. I mean, she was keeping it real.
She kept it real.
Was
Like, I had to respect it.
Me.
I gave her a calendar though. On me, I was like, nice. You can have one of these.
We got the new calendars.
Yeah.
423.
Yo, to break it up with some promotion real quick. Actually, I wanted to introduce Kepta community, right? So I don't know how many of you who are viewers out there who are members of the Earth Center or of Kepta, but we actually have a membership, right? And I'm gonna take this opportunity to just plug the Earth Center membership real quick. We're actually relaunching membership under Kepta community, and it's basically so that we can have a global community, right? Because again and again on this podcast, in many of our publications and all of the events that we hold and we go to, we're always talking about how this isn't really about one race of people. This isn't about one color of people. It's about a global community of people who understand the value of returning to principles and values that are based in like nature. So what Kepta community and the membership for the Earth Center is really about is about creating that global community. And some people want to take the classes, right? Some people want to take the classes. They want to become initiates. They want to graduate. They want to get a name. They want to take that route of adding to the mission of bringing humanity, right, back to nature. But some people, don't want to go that route. And for those of you who are out there who feel like you want to contribute, who feel like you want to do something to give to this great mission, but you don't have the time to, be physically at a temple or physically in the online classes, the www.theearthcenter.org, look for membership, right? And for as little as $50 USD per year, you can join and be a part of our allied membership. Now, what that comes with is you get a discount on all of our products online, as well as we have membership forums, right? And these membership forums are going to be sort of like open discussions where we're going to bring things that we see are happening like within our local communities that we can contribute to, that we have, because we have a perspective as indigenous initiates who are trying to push forward an indigenous mission. So we know that we can't live outside of the bubble of, you know, the modern world, like we've even been talking about in this episode with legacy and things like that. So we know that we have to interact with you all on a local level. So again, if you've been thinking about it, if it's been on your mind, you know, if you saw that what's that called, the Discovery Channel, if you saw the Discovery Channel and you saw those indigenous people in the bush with the flap, right, and you thought to yourself, man, that's interesting, those people are really still alive and they're looking for something, right? And a part of it, you know, leads back to what we're doing with this mission. So again, we have a community membership forum that's happening on October 14th. It will be online. If you want to be a part of that forum, again, www.theearthcenter.org, and look for the membership area. Yeah, that's my quick plug. Amazing noise to make after that plug. Thank you, Kagzrimen, so much.
You're welcome. But yeah, this has been I think we should get into rapid fire, right? Who's doing rapid
That's a
fire?
good
I'm
idea.
ready. I'm gonna do it from here. Taj
Okay.
is on the boards. Shout out to Taj Hutchins on the boards.
Did you just say his whole name?
I mean, he puts his
You
whole
said
name
his
out there.
whole
That's
name.
that's his,
Yes.
that's his name on Instagram. So yeah,
Guys are over here saying babies' names and whose names. Guys,
whatever, man. So the first topic, a coach, Disney employee, and a teacher arrested in a huge human trafficking bust. So I was doing the research earlier, and this is crazy. So there was like a coach for like a sports team at like some school, a Disney employee, like Disney World, like he works at Disney World,
not surprising.
and a
The
teacher
enemy.
that were arrested in this like there was so many people that got arrested all at once for this human trafficking thing. It was crazy, bro. So yeah, I mean, it was just interesting to me, like the people that were involved.
I mean, to me, it's not that surprising, because like
Yeah.
if we're being honest, like what was slavery really other than human trafficking?
Wow.
That we have a concept or idea. Yeah, it's a bomb drop.
Wow.
Yeah, it
You
is.
let him drop the bomb?
Yeah, because
He was
he
sleeping.
deserved to
He
do that
wanted
one.
to- he wanted
I was
to
I was
talk.
gonna
He was
talk.
talking.
He
was
he
talking.
deserved to do that one. But in all honesty, slavery was just human trafficking.
Wow.
And human trafficking has been around for a very long time. And don't touch it. In today's modern world, it's still going on. Like you think places like Dubai can exist without slavery? You think that new
Damn.
city they're building, like the Line or whatever, that can exist without slavery?
Damn.
You think any of these so-called first world countries exist without slavery? There's slaves probably right now on Wall Street still. Like it's real. It's a real thing, and it's not just now. It's not just even black slaves anymore. I mean, if we're being honest, it's still majority Africans that they're using. That's true. But then they're getting slaves from all over the world. They have Slavic slaves still. They have Chinese slaves.
Chinese slave.
They have what's the Indonesia, like all these
Indonesian
places.
slaves.
Like, come on, bro. Like, it's real. And our government, or the government here in America, they know about it. They're a part of it. Like, we don't gotta hide this anymore.
You make it. Yeah, you make
And that's why what's his name, Trump, people come at this guy, right, because he's talking about closing the borders. You know why he's closing the borders? Because these people use those borders as canal ways to bring in their human trafficked people. He knows what he's doing. He knows what's going on. There's infighting between the elites. That's all that is. So all these people that got arrested, it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise at all.
It's a good point. anytime I see an article in the media, I'm always wondering what's that. That to me is like the micro.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is like, okay, but what is that really covering up on the larger scale?
Who's disputing?
Everything
Behind
in the
the
media.
scenes.
You look at how they portray Russia, how they portray North Korea, how they portray China, Iran, Iraq, all those different places. But at the end of the day, it's like we always want to see that the evil outside of ourselves, and we never want to see it inside of ourselves, especially the United States. Everything that we've done, everything that we're doing, everything that we don't talk about in the media.
What a legacy.
You know what I'm saying? So there's something there.
Something there. All right.
Yeah,
moving
man.
into the
Next
one.
topic, man.
So next up, Ron DeSantis tries to take away Disney World's rights of self-governance. Have you seen this one? It was in the chat.
What do you mean?
So Ron DeSantis is like the governor for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he's trying to, with the help of some like other local officials and politicians and stuff, they're trying to take away like Disney World's autonomy.
You don't see how this is all tying in together? You guys see that, right?
Explain it.
You don't see how?
Explain it.
If Disney World has some kind of authority in which they can function as some kind of sovereign entity, I'm assuming,
Outside of the law.
outside of the law, a Disney employee got arrested for human trafficking.
Exactly.
Disney is a known pedophile.
Now you know what's crazy though, is the way that Disney World like was like get that out of here.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled up a clause in their like official, I guess, like starting agreements of how to like build the company from the beginning, that was tied to like nobody could take away their autonomy until like some royal person like King Charles or some shit like that, until his second son's descendants were dead or some shit like that. So it's some shit that's tied to the crown, like Queen Elizabeth, all that kind of shit.
As most things are,
Exactly.
Yeah.
like human trafficking.
But you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's so.
It's true. It's true.
You see how it all ties?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
It's
so
sick.
it's so obvious though. They just try to target the children. It all starts with the children. At
The
the end of the
legacy.
day, that's it. It's
Legacy.
the legacy. Think about it. Like even my wife and I, we went to Target. It was during like Pride Month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wifey loves Target.
Yeah.
Every wifey loves Target.
Word. Shout out to Target. It's expensive, but it's quality. So we went to Target, and as soon as we get into Target, you know, there's the Pride area, like right in front, literally right in front of the store. A lot of Targets had moved it to the back because of public outcry or whatever.
Wait, there's a Pride section in Target?
Well, there was like Pride stuff, especially because it was Pride Month.
Oh, okay.
So
Like they were doing a promotion.
yeah,
kind of
but
thing.
certain Targets have moved it to the back because of the outcry. But this is Jersey, so it's not the same.
Yeah.
But then like right next to the Pride section, there was a whole stack of bananas. There wasn't a fruit section there. It was just a stack of bananas. I'm not kidding. Bro, I'm not even kidding around. It was in the Pride section. It was a stack. It was like a thing. It was like
you hear this, man?
It was like a whole tray of bananas, like on purpose.
And it wasn't a fruit section.
There wasn't a fruit section, bro. It was just bananas.
It was clothing.
Just bananas. It wasn't. They were edible. They were, and then there was a Starbucks in the Target.
Did you
Right.
take a banana?
Hell no. Hell no. I did not take a banana. Pause.
Okay.
There was a Starbucks right in the Target, and in the Target, the Starbucks has all of the Pride flags, like literally every
There's
single.
more than one.
Bro,
There,
I thought it
there's
was just
a
the rainbow.
ton.
they've developed
No.
over time.
No, there's
You for real?
There's even one that's like for
pansexual.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's
It's crazy.
so many Pride
There's
flags.
brown in the Pride flag.
There's even a pedophile Pride flag that wasn't up
It's a
there.
fact.
But
You fucking for real?
I think the
Yeah.
pedophile color is like baby blue.
yeah, and baby
Wow.
pink, yeah. But
Wow.
so we were at the Starbucks, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why are these the only flags being represented? Why aren't they representing all the flags of all the nations? Why is it just these flags? Why are there bananas?
Where is Russia's flag?
Why are the bananas in front of the pride section? Like, what is really going on here?
You know what's going on, Sen.
Yeah.
It's all symbology.
It's all an attack on the legacy.
You know, it's funny because I saw this meme, and it was talking about how it was a Joe Rogan podcast actually, and Joe Rogan was talking about how every civilization that became obsessed with gender and sexuality and homosexuality, particularly all this weird kind of stuff we got going on today, all of those civilizations, once those things became like so much the focus or so rampant in the society to the part where it's like a part of the political structure, that's when the civilization fell.
Right.
So what we're seeing now is just a sign of the end of times in terms of America, at least. Like, remember, Greece was a very huge nation. Broke apart because of the same thing.
Word.
Rome, which is just a smaller nation that was in Greece, took up the mantle.
Nero.
Then it broke up. Broke up. The empire broke up. Now it's just like a city in Italy. Greece is just one little small country now. So I'm very curious of what's going to happen to the United States of America in the next coming years. I'm very curious because this is crazy.
What's gonna happen to Disney World?
Disney World gonna be existing. It's still gonna be there. They still gonna be having human trafficking
Right
and
there.
slaves and all that shit.
What's the next topic?
Next topic. Children in schools.
Matthew said we need a real gay person on the podcast. Actually, that would be wonderfully great.
We already
should.
have one.
What?
We had one?
Maybe.
What?
I don't know.
Come on,
the
Ibtehuti. Don't
fuck?
be doing shit
Bro.
like that, bro.
Kidding.
He's not coming back on.
No, we said that last time when we let him back on.
We did.
Yeah, we did it to ourselves.
Next. Wait, what was
Children in schools identifying as animals is just imagination? Question mark. But for adults, it's something different. So I did the research on this one too. So there's this thing, right, where the children are in the schools now, and the teacher will say, "What's 2 plus 2?" And the kid will be like, "Meow." And then the kid next to them will be like, and then the kid next to them will be like, and they're
It's
all
an evil world we live in.
It's an evil world, and the teachers are obliged to affirm these children as the animals that they are identifying as, right?
What state is this?
It's all over, bro. It's all over.
Bro. This can't be in New York, bro. I can't imagine this, bro. I can't.
Like, stop
Texas,
playing.
New
You
York.
ordered the chopped cheese this morning. Now you talking about you a cow. But yo, they're saying, right?
Yo,
so the
man,
research,
this is crazy.
the research that I did, right? The therapists are saying that the children, when they identify as these animals, right, it's just imagination. It's a child trying to relate to things that are in their environment, right? You know how you watch children, you watch shows when you're a child and you be like, oh, that character, that's me. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog is a fucking hedgehog. But it's cool. It's like, oh, I want to
Spider-Man.
run fast. All of my energy is in my legs and my arms. I want to run fast. So you're like, that's me. I'm Sonic. So, yeah, part of it is like, okay, great. Imagination. But they're trying to say, okay, there's this subculture of humans that's called furries.
Yeah.
They call them furries. It's in the Merriam-Webster
I
dictionary.
know it.
A furry.
You know this?
Yeah, son.
He was close. He
To
was
a
close
furry.
in his past life.
You were gonna be a furry?
He was close. Not gonna be a furry.
Furby.
You were a Furby?
He was something else. He was like an elf or something like that.
Son, we need to have a talk.
Okay, continue. This isn't about me. This is about the situation.
Interesting life this man
Okay.
is here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the furries, right? These are adults who have the same idea of themselves and identify as animals, but it's not about their imagination.
They believe it. Like the guy who thinks he was a wolf or a dog.
The therapists are saying like these people, because they're adults, it's not about their imagination anymore. Like they're actually like identifying with what they are.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You said that, but then Matt was saying y'all need a real gay person on the podcast. And the reason that we even bring this up, because I know this argument. I know what someone would say in that regard. They would say like, "This is my life. This is the way I want to live. Like, fuck. Why the fuck do you care about like what I want to do? Just worry about yourself."
Right.
And I get that, but here's the thing: we're spiritual people. We're in a temple. The purpose of spirituality is your evolution, the evolution of your spirit. That's why we're even here. So if you don't care about your spirit, that's on you, but we do, and that's why we're here.
And it even becomes like why you gotta do that like in public, bro?
Yeah.
Bro,
Like,
it's a free world, bro.
Public, bro.
It's a free world. It's America.
You know what?
It's the
Like, if
land
you
of the
have a
brave and the home of the free.
Like, let it be a fetish.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what you do with your genitals in your house.
Yeah. We were at a.
But why you gotta do that outside?
We were at an
Freedom.
event. We were at an event. We were at an event vending, and for the Earth Center, and there was this guy who thought he was a dinosaur. Were you there? Were you at that event?
No way, bro.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I wasn't there. I wish I was there.
There was a guy who thought he was a dinosaur, and he had this dinosaur headpiece thing, and then he had kind of like a G-string situation and a short cut off shirt.
So dinosaurs wear G-strings.
Yeah, and he had his ass chaps out, like booty out. And then he was trying to. No, I'm not kidding. And there were a lot of kids.
It's an evil world we live in.
There were a lot of kids, and that's where I think that is the place where, for us, or at least for me, it crosses the line. It's like, right, if you want to do what you want to do, if you want to off yourself, if you don't want to focus on yourself, if you want this to be the last time that your spirit returns, because you don't want to do the self-sacrifice that your parents had to do, that your mother had to do to birth you. Your spirit was birthed through multiple channels throughout your spirit's existence. That's on you. But at the end of the day, when it comes to children, like, don't be doing that shit. Like, leave that at home.
Exactly. Because
Didn't
the
they
children.
have a march where they were like, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children"?
I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's kind of, I even think like the banana thing, it was kind of done as like a joke. It's kind of like, oh, we're going to be funny. Like, we're going to put bananas by the pride stuff. It's a joke.
And then your
it's all a
fucking
joke.
child walks in there and like, Dad, I want a banana.
Yeah, why do you take it so seriously? It's just a joke. It's all a joke. We're just joking. We're not going to really do that to your kids. You're doing that. You don't even know you're doing it, and you're doing that. Like, you guys want to change like what drag queens are and make them like accessible to minors so that they can read books. But at the end of the day, drag queens are drag queens.
I want to understand. Because now that you said that, right, the drag queen thing, I've seen multiple events in which drag queens are at little children's functions performing, like twerking, shaking their butts, and like G-string and thongs on stage.
Yeah.
Like, who is sanctioning this? Like, who is making this okay? Like, this is ridiculous.
Bill Gates is paying for a lot of things.
But, bro, what parent in their right mind is going to make their legacy succumb to things like this?
White parents.
The rich gay parents.
It's an evil world we live in.
White parents. Because white parents, the thing about white parents and white people is like they feel like they don't have a victim card, so they got to go out and find one. And now we live in this post-George Floyd society where we feel like everybody needs a victim card. So if you don't have one, then like maybe we'll dress our little Timmy up in a girl's outfit, and then we can say that we have a trans child, and then we could be like all our black neighbors and all our Hispanic neighbors and everybody else that's feeling this victimhood, and we don't have to, this whiteness of ours that's shining so bright,
Talk about it.
Maybe we'll dim it. It'll dim a little bit more, and then we'll feel like we have culture, and then we're just like you.
White person said it, not me.
Hey.
Yeah, man. He
I
said,
mean, you know, I got a little something in me, but you know, we won't talk
An
about that.
olive person said it, not
Mm-hmm.
me.
but yeah,
Olive oil.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Next topic.
It's an evil world we live
Next
in.
topic. Speaking of the evil in the world, ChatGPT is now able to see and hear,
It wasn't before.
and it helps a man adjust his bike seat with pictures of the bike and toolbox. So
That's cool.
basically, you could
That's
use
cool.
the ChatGPT app to take a picture of the bike and be like, "My tire is flat. What do I do?" And then you could take a picture of your toolbox and be like, "Do I have the tool that I need?" And ChatGPT will be like, "On the right, like this one," and you pick that up and you use it in this way. And it's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's
It's
also
cool.
kind of scary.
But it's cool, you know.
Like, where
I'm down.
are your parents? Where's your uncle? Where's your uncle
That
that
taught
sells
you?
cars? And like,
Well,
Yeah.
people don't have that. son.
it's crazy.
People don't have that,
They
so
got, like-
they have a robot now.
They got uncles that identify as dogs.
Kenibashu, you're a purist.
Am I?
Yeah, when it comes to your art, you're
Yeah.
you're such a purist. You're like, I want to make this as difficult as possible
I
and
do.
go through the fire of learning each and every. And I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth.
But
I'm
isn't
not.
that being human? That's just being human.
To
Yeah.
me, that process is what defines you as a human being.
Mhm.
It's what makes you a human being. And then
Right.
like when you get away from that process and you start to sort of, because that's what a human being is always doing, right? We're always trying to figure out how to make something easier, how to do the same work with the least amount of steps, which
Smarter,
isn't
not harder.
always necessarily like a bad thing. But if you don't do it with a certain respect for the steps that it takes to do something like that in a natural sense, then you sort of lose the
Integrity.
value. Yeah, the integrity.
You
of
can't
it,
duplicate
exactly.
integrity.
I think the main
Exactly.
problem with all of this new technology and AI is the fact that it's taking out the process of thinking from the human being. Because if the robot is telling you where the tool is, you don't even have to think, or maybe you displace the tool and now you have to think and look and find out where the tool is. So it's almost like what's going to happen to the future generations, right? You mentioned like where's your uncle or your dad who knows how to do this and do that. Eventually nobody's going to know how to do anything. And then
It's a fact.
They're gonna cut
when-
off all their tools.
yeah, like what's gonna happen when
Pause.
certain things collapse? Because we're talking about the system that we know collapsing. We're talking about society, civilization collapsing. What's gonna happen to all these people who only know the easy way? What's gonna happen to all those people who only know how to go on the computer and search to do things?
It's a fact.
If you don't have none of these skills, if you don't have the natural ability to think your way through things, it's gonna be a very scary time. Like I really, really hate to see the day that society becomes like that futuristic Star Wars, like
iRobot.
Blade
utopian
Runner.
iRobot, Blade Runner situation. Because like when all of that collapses, like it's not gonna be pretty.
It's interesting because we glorify that type of like future because it's sexy or it's like it's Hollywood or there's some cute actors and there's like the neon lights and everything, the flying cars and all of that.
You know why we glorify that, Sen? It's because we've lost the idea of legacy. You can only look at things like that and say you want the future because you don't understand your past.
I was about to do it. Like,
That was good. We both looked at the button at the same time.
we need some buttons here. Something to play with. Hey.
But it's kind of sad though, because once you have a society full of people who are always looking to the future and dreaming and hoping, then you start to see that people lose the value of where they're coming from. And then when people lose the value of where they're coming from, the direction in which they're actually going towards that future becomes a future of just possibilities and no direction, which leads to destruction. Because how many destructive things have to happen for us to have these technologies? How many people have to be displaced? How many forests have to be burned down? How much of the earth has to be dug up and digged up? And then we complain about global warming and all this different stuff. Like, we're the one causing it, right?
Yeah.
True.
We're the one doing it, but we refuse to stop because of what the lifestyle we've given ourselves, that ease, that accessibility, that easy way of doing things, that lack of thinking, the lack of fitting into natural principles. Like, we rather, what's the word? Dominate nature than learn how to survive in nature and fit in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Every path has a home. Every home has a path. Like, that's something that we learn in the initiation.
Okay, Uncle Ibtehuti.
Uncle. Like, that's every path has a home. That could be a country song too.
It could.
But it's so true. Like, we learned that in the initiation. It's so true. But if you eliminate the path, then really you eliminate the home. And that's really what the future looks like. It looks like this individualism. You know, it's not based in family. It's not based in legacy. And we'll start to see less and less of that. Like, even if you look in like Japan, I think there are 10 women for every man now in Japan. There's like, they're losing all of like the younger generation because nobody's having kids. They're even like paying people to like have children. We went over this before, and men are killing themselves at very high rates because there's like this work ethic. So the women are just working. They don't want, you know, to have families. You know, they just they become very westernized in that way. They see that as like the new way, and they want to be a part of it, and they like it, and it seems like you know,
it seems easier.
Yeah, it seems fun. Like,
they see children as like a hindrance from like their lives or whatever. But at the same time, when you look at them, none of them have family. Like, I worked with Japanese people a lot. So my old boss, shout out to Yagi, he had a wife.
Why you gotta say his name?
He ain't watching this, bro. But Yagi had a wife, and I used to talk to Yagi, like, to the point where me and him was so cool. I could even call Yagi right now and be like, yo, Yagi, let's go hang out, let's go drink. And he's like, yeah, let's go.
You guys gonna get some sake?
Me and him used to drink, right? Yeah, we used to drink sake, we used to drink Red Stripe, all
Cold
that.
or hot sake?
Warm.
Warm.
Yeah,
I like
it's,
that warm.
it's better warm.
Okay.
But we would hang out, and Yagi would have like this amazing life. Like he traveled. He went to like every week. He was going to like another concert. He was going to Saturday Night Live, all this stuff. And I was like, Yagi, yo, you and your wife don't have kids? He was like, no, Terrence, no. Just me and my wife, no kids. I'm like, you don't want to have kids? He's like, no. But then I look at Yagi and I'm like, damn, like Yagi's here from Japan, like he's hanging out with me, his employee, and then I never hear him talk about family. He barely talks about family, and then he doesn't have any kids. I'm like, he's not getting any younger. Like, what's gonna happen after that? Like, who's gonna take care of him and his wife? Like, what's this gonna be like? But you see that, and it's like a cultural thing for them, because they to the point where they even overwork so much that majority of them end up killing themselves.
Make family cool again.
That should be a hashtag.
Yeah,
we could do that. We could do that.
Yeah.
Make family cool again.
We'll put it in the hashtag.
Yeah, because the thing is like the way our society is like framed, like family isn't necessarily like cool. Like, it isn't cool.
It's a burden
to like be like, even to be 30. Like, oh my God, you're 30, you're old. Like, you're having a family, that's the end of your life.
It's a fact.
You know what I mean? It's not considered a cool thing. Like being a mommy blogger, like, you know what I mean? Like, all that, it's not cool.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? It's cool to be like the opposite. It's cool to look like self-destructive. Like, that is a cool thing.
It'll be an OnlyFans chick.
It's, yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
we went way off topic.
But that even is the
we're
absence.
still on topic.
Yeah, but that's even
it's
the
absence of legacy.
And it's the absence of self.
Yeah, because they
Right,
have no fathers. They have father issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not looking to have children.
No daddy got
And the legacy
ChatGPT.
But the thing is, the legacy that they're leaving themselves by having that OnlyFans is that no one is gonna want to be with them after that.
It's a fact, and their kids be
And then
tight.
they're not gonna have a legacy.
I mean, you want to be with them, but you don't want to be with them.
You don't want to spend the rest of your life with them.
Yeah.
And if you've like socialized yourself in that way for so long, getting money for like the way you look and you're, showing yourself like that, you're gonna have a lot of problems later in life that you don't even realize.
Imagine the way Pinky's children would feel.
Pinky's.
She doesn't even have children, does she?
Who's Pinky?
See.
Yeah. And she don't look too good no more. You ain't gonna look that way forever.
But it's not even about the way they look.
Get a real job.
It's the way. It's like the way that like they're being like. What's it called? Like when you get like that kind of.
It's like the attention that you're getting.
Attention, yeah, the satisfaction. Like you're not gonna get that. And you think
Forever.
you're going to get that from one person for the rest of your life after you've gotten that from thousands and thousands of men?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. So, speaking
we
of
went way off.
Yeah, we did.
love, next topic, Afrobeats loves women more than rap music.
Dun, dun, dun.
So there was a post on Instagram. I forget this young lady's name. I looked it up on purpose, but I forgot. She was on her podcast. She was talking about how in Afrobeats music, it's really about kind of like showing a love for a woman. Like they express a lot of love, like for women and kind of for their culture. And then in rap music, like, people in black culture, black American culture, they have this attachment to hip hop and rap music, but that same music does something to sort of perpetuate this terrible idea of what it means to like be a black person in America, and they don't be showing no love to the women. It's bitch this, hoe that, so yada yada.
Yeah,
True.
I mean, I think I chose this topic. And I chose a topic because it made an interesting point, and I don't necessarily agree that all Afrobeat songs show more love to women, because I've noticed that when it comes to certain artists in Afrobeats or whatever we're calling Afrobeats now, they're trying to even sound more westernized. So they're giving certain like lyrics that are not necessarily traditional in that sense, but it's a good concept or a good topic because it's still true, because it's still music that's coming from like a cultural perspective for the most part, right? It's more so about fun. But what the guy who was being interviewed said when he said that rap music is more destructive to black people, his whole point was this: it's not that black people want to be that way or want to be destructive, but it's the fact that if you look at the numbers of who's actually buying this
that kind of music,
if you look at the numbers of who's actually investing into this kind of music, majority of it is the average white male. So he's saying that if they weren't making that kind of music, then the money wouldn't be the same. And he also said that it only makes sense that the person who wants to see you in a destructive state and be entertained from it would be somebody not from your own community. And he said a lot of rappers don't even want to make this music, but again, they're gonna lose a lot of money if they didn't. So it made sense from that perspective, even why certain Afrobeats artists are even going that same route, because it's just more money in degeneracy.
Yeah.
So it's really like the market sets the standard. It's not even the artists themselves sets the standard. It's not even the culture itself that sets the standard.
It's the industry.
It's the industry. It's just the market.
That's true. It's just like it's like slapping another face on it, but it's the same thing at the end of the day. But I just wanted to look at the chat for a sec, because B was like, Ezekiel married a prostitute, Jesus dated one. And Sen, that's why we find ourselves in the state that we're in, because your cosmogony and what you're bringing up here is exactly why we're here in this state. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here in this temple, this work, this spirituality, is take us away from this way of looking at the world. Because this ain't it.
it would make perfect sense that if your holy book says like this holy person dated a prostitute, then
Which is
alright, I
also-
gotta
B, you
pass.
could go marry a hoe.
It's
but
also contradictory.
But I just want to say, B, you can go marry a prostitute, but let's see how long that lasts.
Don't
for
marry
you.
a prostitute, B.
But
Don't
I'm
do
just
that.
saying,
Don't
like,
do
go
that.
test your theory. Go do it and see what happens. See how the longevity of that.
But you see how the book confuses people, because it says that, but in the same book it also says if she's laid with many men or she's not a virgin
Yeah,
and she's
exactly.
trying to get married, you should stone her to death.
Mm-hmm.
In the same book. So it's not really you can't really use
contradictory.
that. You can't really use that as a good reference. I'm just saying. It just doesn't make sense. But next topic.
Okay, so what we got next on the agenda? So this one surprised me a lot, actually. We only got one after this, I think. So the Pope suggests that Catholic Church could bless same-sex marriages.
It's the same thing we just talked about.
Who chose these topics?
I'm not even gonna speak on this one. You go ahead. Take it.
Can you
away.
repeat that?
The Pope is now suggesting that the Catholic Church could bless same-sex marriages. He was basically saying, like, you know, who are we?
The next thing the Pope is going to say is that he could, that children also will be okay with adults. So that's coming next.
They say it without saying it all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's just a way of protecting what they did
Or what they do.
or what they do.
It's their culture. Let's
Because
be for
now
real.
it's technically even becoming a standard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, who are you if you're not supporting the craziness?
Right.
Well, next topic. We not much to say on that one. We already know what the Pope is and what the Catholic Church really is. So keep it going.
Thank you very much.
Is this the last topic?
Yeah, last one.
Great.
So this one I thought was really interesting. So Florida has been putting a lot of restrictions on Black history, and they're not like teaching, you know, Black history. And the churches, the local churches, have actually stepped up and said that they'll start teaching. Like they're literally trying to
talking about
teach Black
race
history.
theory, like what are they calling that?
I don't even know what race theory is.
Critical
but I know-
critical race theory.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Harriet
Yeah.
Tubman, all that kind of stuff, teaching it in the churches
Yeah.
because they won't teach it in the schools anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, it's just going back to what they originally wanted to do anyway. It's like, why again would you be in a society that is designed and built for a specific group of people? Why do you want to talk about another group of people? Like, why would you want to educate that group of people who you're basically subjugating to their own history? And
Right.
it shows that, you know, take your legacy into your own hands. It's the same thing we've been talking about. Take your legacy in your own hands. Educate your own children. Teach your children who they are. Like, you shouldn't have to depend on the state to teach them anything. Like, I never understood why we get so riled up with what the school wants to do, what the school doesn't want to do. Who the fuck cares? It's your child.
I think
You educate them. You know,
Right.
my son went to school one time, right?
I knew he was about to bring
I had
this
to
up.
bring this up. I
I
had to
knew
bring
he was
this
about
up.
to do it.
Because,
I'm glad
you know,
he's doing it.
You know,
though.
I just, you know, he's going to school, so, you know, it's cool. But I educate him myself
is he
at home.
now? Right.
He's 11 now, going on 12. So I educate him myself at home.
Yeah.
So what he learns in school is completely different from what he's educated at home.
Yes, sir.
Completely different. So one day they gave him an assignment where he had to draw a slave.
yeah.
So I was like, you have to draw a slave.
That's
He
what I'm trying to say.
He came home and said, yo, this is the assignment they gave me. I was like, word? He was like, yeah. I was like, all right, so take this little white girl, this picture of this little white girl here and this little white boy here, and you draw them in chains, and you say Slavic slaves from Europe. And then he brought that assignment in. Mind you, the teachers looked at it and was like,
Did they
that
call a
wasn't really
parent-teacher
assignment.
conference?
Can we speak
I'm getting
to your
there.
father?
I'm getting there. So there was like this not really assignment. So they called me and they called his
like
mother.
you used the wrong Crayola marker.
So they call us, right? And so I'm there. I'm like, so what's the problem? They're like, well, he was supposed to draw a slave, and he drew white people in chains. And I was like, well, do you know the history of slavery? And they were like, well, it was the assignment was
to draw slaves.
To draw slaves. And so I was like, oh, so only black people are good to be slaves. Is that what you're saying? So did you know that they were slaves in Europe? Do you know other Europeans enslaved other Europeans? So it became a whole thing, right? And his mom was bugging out, riling out, blah, 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 blah. So long story short, they kicked my son out of school.
Stop it.
Because he refused to draw a black person in chains.
That's where it goes wrong. That's why critical race theory has its issue.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the church wants to teach the critical race theory.
That's why
This is what we're really talking about. What are we really talking about? And where does black history start? It starts at slavery. That's where we're gonna go.
Exactly.
And then it's like, and then all the white kids, they have to be like, we have white privilege. And that's the conversations that are happening in the classrooms.
Exactly.
And that's where it goes wrong. That's where all the separation begins.
Well, I really found it interesting because part of what Ibtehuti's saying, right, is that all the time everybody's going to tie black history back to slavery. And then slavery...
Because it's American history.
So the black American slavery within it always has that element of where you sort of built your foundations of spirituality and religion within America. It always has to go back to Christianity, and then it loops you right back around, and then somehow it becomes that like you had Christianity before you got here or something like that, like some sort of whatever your spirituality was. Exactly. The Stockholm syndrome starts there. But then I'm like, damn, what government officials were like, okay, bet, we're not going to teach it to them, but how can we give it to them through an institution that already has them wrapped up?
It's the perfect thing.
It's perfect.
It's the perfect thing.
It's perfect.
It's how you get the niggas right back in the chicken coop.
Right back in the loop.
That's how you do it.
Right now, it's like they probably getting out. It's like, and Florida's a crazy place for all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got voodoo, all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Florida.
Shout out to the Haitians.
With the Haitians in Florida.
Floridians are different.
It's like, they probably realize like, all right, if we're not going to teach it in the schools, we got to give it to them somewhere to loop them back around. And that was just like masterful. I can't even be mad. It's like, man, that's like amazing strategy. But for people not to be able to see that and be eating it up, it's like kind of sad.
Well, it's hard for people to see it, right? I mean, if you live in shit, you swim in shit, you eat shit, you talk shit, you look at shit, you dress in shit, then you're not going to recognize when you're in the shit.
You won't smell your own shit.
You won't smell your own shit because you're always in shit. Right. But colonialism, like I said, is one hell of a thing. It's very intelligent, and they know how to keep a nigga in. They really do.
That's a fact.
But, this has been another episode of the Gator Gates podcast. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here with us. And we'll catch you next week, same time.
Idiotu.
Idiotu. Yeah.